Hello, welcome to another week of the College Football Show. I'm Nick Roby.
I'm Barrett Black.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We had another fun week of college football. It was the Friday the 13th weekend, so there was a little craziness. Maybe less of the college, the top ranking guys upset, but there were some crazy games.
Yeah.
What were some initial thoughts from the weekend that you had?
Everything went pretty much according to plan, except for some, a few little surprises out there. I was really impressed with UCF. I did expect them to win, but not as handily as they won. I think that they're really trying to show that they're still trying to make a case that they're the best Group of 5 team out there.
Yeah, they really are, and it's one of those things where they're kind of in this position of where until somebody else takes the seat from them, maybe a Boise State, that they really have that pretty locked down. I mean, because the game was at home against Stanford.
Yeah.
And that's a big advantage for them. But still, it's Stanford.
It's a big team.
It's not a cakewalk, and they're a strong run and pound type of team.
Yeah.
So that was pretty impressive.
So that wasn't a big shock or anything to anyone, but I was really impressed with them. Now, there were some shocking things that happened over the weekend. One for me was Kentucky gave the game away. I mean, they were beating Florida. It would have been the first time since the 70s that they had beat them twice in a row. Had them late in the game. Florida freakily loses their starting quarterback for the season, Felipe Franks, which sucks for him. And then Kentucky gives the game away. I mean, granted, Florida's backup came in and did a great job to lead them to a win. But Kentucky, what are you doing? Rise to the occasion.
Yeah, they really had that game in hand at home too, to take the advantage. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Another crazy game for me, which is a crazy outcome, was Kansas just throttling BC.
Whoa.
At BC.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Kansas.
I think that that was pretty shocking. Maybe everybody was like, "Hey, Les Miles might have something that he can do for Kansas."
Yeah, and not like a Kansas State, but Kansas. That's the crazy part. Also, did you see that play? When the Kansas State players hit Mississippi State.
No. Oh, okay. I heard about it. Flies through the air. I need to watch this. I haven't seen it.
It's great because the internet's taking it over, and now it looks like he's just like flying everywhere. When they like take him.
Oh man, I love when they do.
So
that.
he's like scrambling. It's 4th and maybe 16.
Yeah.
He's scrambling, dives in the air. 2 Kansas State players hit him. He starts spinning and just twirling.
Oh my god!
Lands on his back. He literally is up there for probably 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah,
like way longer than you think he is.
I can't wait to see this. Can't wait to see this play.
Yeah.
How about Maryland? After scoring 70 points around there in the first 2 weeks, and they got beat by Temple. Man.
Yeah.
I think everybody was like, they're going to score 70 again. Like, this is the highest powered offense in America right now. Wah, wah.
Yeah. You know what this means now, though. That Temple's better than Syracuse.
Yep.
So.
Yep. That's how it works out.
Maryland, this is why we can't have nice things. You
Yep.
beat Syracuse 63 to 20, and then you lose to Temple. Which, no disrespect to Temple, they're good, but come on, Maryland. I heard a crazy stat that they've lost 5 or 6 straight games as a ranked team.
Yeah, I also heard
it's
that.
like every time they're ranked, they lose. So next time that they're ranked, guys, when the season keeps switching, remember, mark the tape, because they will lose.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to happen.
I think that another game for me that has kind of a double thought for me is that the BYU-USC game. USC maybe not as good as I thought they could be with their backup in the game. And then BYU, maybe they're pretty good. They've upset 2 Power 5 teams in a row and could be going for a 3rd this weekend when they play Washington.
Yeah.
Wow.
BYU's a strong team.
Yeah,
they're the type of school I don't know if I really would want to schedule.
No.
You can put them in like Army too, just because you know they're going to play hard. I mean, they might not be the most talented team, but they're going to fight the whole game, and it's pretty tough. They were a crazy one. Another one, a crazy finish was the Iowa State game. I know since you were at the South Carolina Alabama game.
I was listening to the weather, or listening to it on the way back, and the weather had delayed it forever.
So we'll get to that, but it was crazy because it's they have game day there, first time ever.
Yeah.
They're really hyped for it. It's a big rivalry game.
Yeah.
But then it felt like it was just going to be like some kind of just sludge match of just two teams fighting out against each other. Iowa State's up. They let Iowa come back and take the lead. Iowa's playing the ball fourth quarter, maybe like there's only a few minutes left in the game. But there's enough time for them to go down, drive it. You could do the slow, methodical run, and you're kind of running the clock out to go kick the field goal.
Yeah.
So they punt the ball, and then the gunner's going from Iowa, and then the defender, the blocker's trying to get in front, and he literally runs into his own guy.
I heard it on the
knocks
radio.
him out, and then they just recover the ball, and the game's over.
Talk about a lackluster finish. It was like, wow.
I know.
That's the game.
I know.
The radio announcers were I was listening to the Iowa State broadcast, and they were literally like, and it ends. That's how it ends. Wow. They were just like, I can't believe that's the way it ends.
It's kind of like in baseball when you end with a walk.
Yeah.
It's kind of
a walk,
or
a walk-off walk.
A walk-off walk where you hit the guy and you're like, well, okay, this is how this is ending.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. I mean, that was an interesting one. Georgia Tech goes down against the Citadel, which was kind of ironic because the Citadel is also their option team.
Yeah.
They run the option, and Georgia Tech lost to an option
Exactly.
team. It just feels awkward.
The first year after switching. Hey, but the Citadel's no joke. Coming from Alabama, knowing last year we were very close to them at halftime.
Oh, no, yeah.
Playing those triple option teams, a lot we talked about last week, not my favorite.
No, it's not fun. And Clemson would schedule the Citadel just because we would have to play at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
And those guys fight hard. I'm always impressed. It's not like a team that you really love facing. And then, I did enjoy Clemson. I feel like overall played well. There's some things that they're still trying to figure out.
Sure.
Lawrence throws those 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
I have been impressed, though, that after throwing interceptions, a guy running, ETN runs him down, and then they make the defensive stand. They've had a few of those defensive stands, which I've been impressed with.
Good.
So I know there's been some talk of just the offense not fully sinking, which is kind of crazy when they're scoring 41 points. But so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
It feels to me like this weekend that we still have Alabama and Clemson are the clear top 2 until somebody else really steps up. Yeah. But what were your thoughts on, just because you were at the Alabama South Carolina game, so just tell the people what it was like.
So it was good to see Alabama live for the first time this season, and just really getting to see how we look on the road at an SEC school. It's always tough. I don't care who it is. It's always tough to play on the road in an SEC school, or probably the same playing on the road in the ACC. But I was so surprised at how good Ryan Helinski is for South Carolina. I mean, the dude can throw. I mean, he's got an absolute cannon. Often we would have our press line right in his face about to sack him, and he's literally just backpedaling up, and he would just come out and sling it and hit a guy right across the middle to barely get the first down.
Yes.
But I'm just like, number one, how are you doing that in such an awkward position? And then how are you hitting your receivers? This is only his second start. I was really impressed. But then also from Bama's offense, I mean, our receiving core, I'm so impressed with, man. I mean, I know that they've been there they're on their 3rd year now, and we know who they are. But man, they were awesome. It's just great to see those guys live. Henry Ruggs really had a wonderful game. Judy's the one that gets talked about the most.
Sure.
Judy was quieter this game. I mean, he was covered up a bit more, and man, South Carolina has some giant cornerbacks. One guy's 6'4". So that made it a little bit tough, but Devontae Smith and Henry Ruggs, man, they really went off. I think Devontae Smith actually had several touchdowns and in the high 100s in yards, and I think Ruggs also had 100 yards. Great game for Tui. He set his career high at 444 yards, 5 touchdowns. So he had a day. That was good to see. Running game, still disappointing. I think total we had 51 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that. I think we're averaging 3-point-something yards a carry. We just can't establish a running game. And I don't know if it's because the passing game is so good that we just go to it more often and we're not as worried about putting it on the ground. But man, I mean, you really want to see us establish that running game to know that we can kind of offset people just dropping back with 6 DBs and covering the passing game up. So I really hope to see that. I mean, this week we have another kind of lower game, playing a lower tier team, and I really hope we get some reps running the ball. I want to see Najee Harris and Brian Robinson get out there and just like really go hard after it, and maybe not worry as much about the passing game in this game. Defense, we struggle in the middle. I mean, we lost our best player, two middle linebackers we've lost this season so far. One being the leader of the defense, and it shows. They gashed us up the middle on several runs, but no super long runs. It would just be like they gashed us up the middle for 5, they gashed us up the middle for 6, and you're like, all right, that's where you need your middle linebacker, man. It was easy to see that. I hope some of these freshmen step up here in the next few weeks and just continue to develop. We know that it's a long season. Unfortunately, every game is worth a ton. But yeah, it's a long season. I hope by the end of the season, when we get to LSU in November, that we have some middle linebackers who are ready to play.
Yeah, I think that's the obvious place in the defense. I mean, when you look on paper, because you got I think 2 starting freshmen, at least, and that's the position of where teams are going to try to exploit
for sure
your defense, and especially because LM has been known that they have a strong pressure game. So if you can get the ball out quickly, especially on slants in the middle or on the screen game on the side, that's a big difference. But I was impressed with Alabama, and I really thought, South Carolina really pulled out every trick they could in the bag.
Yeah.
They probably pulled out 3 or 4 trick plays, and a couple of them actually worked / would have worked if they didn't hold.
Yeah.
But I really thought that they were in there. There were a couple of times where I thought Muschamp got a little bit too happy with it, exactly. and it bites you in the butt when it doesn't work, because you're giving a team like Alabama it's guaranteeing them points.
Yeah.
But you still got to give him credit for going after it, trying to do anything he can just to make it. He was not happy after.
Oh man!
After the first half, when they don't call the touchdown and they don't review it.
Yeah.
Which it was one of those calls. Just for the record, I thought it was a touchdown.
Yeah. Just
for the record, but it's one of those calls that they weren't going to reverse either way.
Yeah.
But the fact that they didn't look at it was surprising.
Yeah, and you heard the refs say, the SEC, home office said, no, we reviewed it quick enough to say we couldn't overturn it. I don't know if that's true or not. In the game, it looked like a touchdown as well, because we were right there. We were on the 30 or 15-yard line. Towards that end zone. It did look like a touchdown, but I got texts from people saying both ways. No, knee was down. It was definitely a touchdown. So it wouldn't have changed the game.
I don't think it would have either. Yeah. But I think that when enough of those things don't go your way, as a team like South Carolina, you need all those things to go your way to be in the game.
Exactly. And the thing is, they couldn't stop us on. When they were on defense. We were I think we punted maybe twice. I remember one punt was terrible. I think it went maybe 10 yards, maybe 15. But they just couldn't stop us. We killed them on the slants, and so that wouldn't have necessarily changed the game, but it definitely would have changed the score.
Yeah. So overall, I was impressed with them. That was good. Any more thoughts from the
No. I was super thankful to get down to a game, see those guys live.
Yeah,
it's always fun.
I'm going to get to see the Tigers.
The stadium was way better this time. Last time I sat in the student section, never making that mistake again at South Carolina. But we sat by some great South Carolina fans and had a great view, and the weather was really nice. We sat on the home side, so we didn't have the sun in our face the entire time. It was
That's nice.
Over our back a little bit and then moved away. So
that's awesome.
Perfect.
That's awesome. So those are good ones. Yeah, I was glad to get out of just the Clemson game, getting out of Syracuse with a win, and just everything's still intact and we're going. And it was cool to see the defense play well in that.
For sure.
So it's fun to see your team still playing well, but it's still early. That's the crazy part. But it's already, if you think about it, the season's already a fourth over the regular season.
Yeah.
Which I know it's only been 3 weeks, but when there's only 12 regular season games, it goes pretty fast.
Yeah, it does.
Let's see. We can jump into some picks. There's some big games this week. So, like last week, we didn't make picks because there didn't feel like there was a big amount of picks in there. I felt like enough to talk about. So we're not going to do it every week, but this week felt like there are some games that would be really fun to talk about, especially because we got the ranked matchups. So the first one we're going to talk about would be Michigan, Wisconsin. You got two Big Ten teams, both who have showed signs of playing well, but also can struggle at times as well. Michigan's 11, and they're playing at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 3-point favorite. How are you feeling in this game? What are you kind of looking for?
I'm kind of looking to see, like, can Michigan establish some sort of offense? Can they put up points on Wisconsin? I don't think Wisconsin's given up many, if any, points. I think they shut their first two opponents out.
I know they shut UCF,
which
USF
out. Don't get me wrong; those were not Michigan level opponents. But I mean, Wisconsin's got a decent defense, you know, and Michigan has struggled with some offense so far. But we'll see if Jonathan Taylor can also demolish Michigan's highly touted defense for a Big Ten team. I expect Wisconsin to get out of there with a win in this one.
Yeah, I think so too. Michigan for me just hasn't proven. I have to kind of see it in these kind of games, especially it comes down to Shea Patterson. If Shea Patterson can get the ball out to playmakers and really get in rhythm and sync, then we're really cooking, and I think it can be a fun game. And the defense, I just think that if there's not enough rhythm on the offense, then you put the defense in a hole. And Wisconsin's offense is designed to hold the ball, run it, and just wear you down over time, especially with a guy like Jonathan Taylor. And I know that they lost at least one linebacker from last year, Michigan. They've had to reload a couple players for sure. And so I've got Wisconsin as well.
And I think, honestly, if Michigan wins this game, they might be done for playoff conversation. I'm sorry, if they lose.
If they lose.
If they lose this game, they might be done for playoff conversation.
Or it's a lower chance. You would have to run the table.
Yeah, and playing Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State is looking good.
Yeah, they're looking good. Now, have they played a whole lot of people? No.
But that's true.
But they do look good, and Fields is impressed early. Yeah, I have Wisconsin winning a close game, but I have them winning. Okay, SEC West, big game this upcoming weekend. On the gauntlet for Texas A&M, they have another ranked top 10 team. Auburn goes to A&M, to Kyle Field. A&M's a 4-point favorite, and they're opening up SEC play. How are you feeling about this game?
Oh, man, I really don't know. I mean, A&M could not get any offense going against Clemson. Auburn has a great defense, you know, but Auburn still, you know, A&M has the quarterback advantage, right? Kellen Mond is far superior than where Auburn's quarterback Nix is right now. He's just he's a freshman, you know. He's got a lot of learning to do. I think in the end that will probably end up not helping A&M, and they win the game. I'm not sure that Bo Nix can come away with some of the stuff he had happen for him in the Oregon game. Tamu's a SEC defense. They're probably going to be a little bit better than Oregon, I would say. I think Tamu runs away with it. So.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think A&M ends up winning it. It's gonna be a good game.
It always is. It always is a great game.
I think there's gonna be. You have to watch out for how does Nix handle a hostile away SC crowd. His first real true road game. Kyle Field is a hard place to play. It's gonna be loud. And we'll see how, you know, there might be some key turnovers in that game. And I think you're right. It's the offense and the play calling of Jimbo Fisher, knowing how to and his quarterback who's been there before.
A&M needs to establish themselves that they can really do something with the ball after that showing at Clemson. I mean, you guys just smothered them. You know, they just couldn't really do anything.
Yeah, it was really, I was impressed with our team being able to do that. But A&M, I think also too, they probably played worse than what's expected.
Yeah.
Like they probably played better like last year, and then they played worse this year. So I think they're somewhere in the middle. Okay, so we've both got A&M. We've both been on the same page so far. We've got Texas. Number 12, Texas is hosting Oklahoma State. Big opening conference play game. I picked this one too because it feels like it has a big shootout potential. And Oklahoma State they're not ranked, but they always feel a little frisky.
They always can put up tons of points.
You just never know. They're gonna come to play.
Yeah. Was it last year that they went back and forth with Oklahoma, the Bedlam game, and
I think so.
Or maybe that's every year for those Oklahoma teams. I don't know much about Oklahoma State this year, so I think knowing what I know about Texas, knowing that Texas has got an excellent offense. I mean, Oklahoma State does as well, but I think where's the game at?
It's at Texas.
At Texas, I think Texas takes it.
Yeah, I do too, and I think this ends up being a chance for Texas to really kind of show that they're muscle, that they're ready to take on Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I think this is one of those games. However, I don't think the defense will play as well.
Yeah.
I don't think the DBU is going to show up very well.
No,
but I think that Ellinger leads the team really well in their march for really trying to take the title for the Big 12. Okay, and then probably the marquee matchup of the weekend, we've got Notre Dame, Fighting Irish, number 7 in the country, going to Georgia, number 3. Mm-hmm. Georgia opens up a 13.5-point favorite at home.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big marquee game for both teams who are trying to make a playoff push. Notre Dame is trying to redeem from last year and trying to make it again and prove that it wasn't just a fluke for them being there. And Georgia's trying to get back and prove that they're on the same playing field as Clemson and Alabama. Yep. So how do you see this one playing out?
A lot at stake in this game. And were this game at Notre Dame this year, I might say Notre Dame has enough edge to take it. But they're going into Sanford Stadium, which is also a hard place to play. Mm-hmm. The fans can be brutal, much as they can everywhere, but at Georgia especially, I think that all SEC fans, maybe even Clemson fans, could tell you that. Mm-hmm. I honestly am still not sure after the past few showings that Notre Dame has had in huge games that mattered. I think Clemson, I think Alabama the past 2 times, or the past time they played then. I think Georgia wins this game, and the score might not be that big, but I think Georgia makes it pretty convincing as far as the whole game goes. I think they show a little bit of dominance in the game and show that they're right there with Alabama and Clemson.
Yeah, I think it's like a dominant 2-score win.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the score isn't that much of a difference, but it never feels...
Kind of like Clemson and Texas A&M.
And A&M, yeah.
I think that Clemson was dominant that game, even though the score was only 14-point difference. So I think that's kind of how I would see this one playing out.
Yeah, I see that too. I'm really interested to see how do the Georgia wide receivers play against a top-level defense.
Yeah.
You know, how does that dynamic look? Because that's the real factor for Georgia. Can they make that next leap this year? Is how do the receivers from look?
Yeah.
So, all right, we all go the same picks, but I think there's going to be some fun games this weekend, and it's...
Oh, yeah, and we'll probably see some surprises out there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you never know. I mean, after last weekend, it really just...
For sure.
You can make all these picks, but then that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
Is you just get to sit back and watch college football. So... Well, guys, that's another week for us. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to share the video, like, subscribe, let people know. We're with Backyard Catch, which is on Instagram, Twitter, all social media stuff. So, anyway, thanks so much for tuning in with us. And so, we will see you next time.
Yeah, till then.
Sign off.